Hey everybody, so today I have this alien sculpture. I just made it to use as lighting reference for a painting that I did, but I decided to give it a paint job just to make it look pretty. So let's get started. I'm starting off with a warm undertone. I'm going to give it a grayer color on top of it, but I want to give the appearance that it's alive. If I just have that gray, it's going to look cold and dead, so you want to make it look kind of glowing. I'm using a set of Golden brand fluid acrylics for this. I actually mix the paints myself. I'm not using it straight out of the tube. I started making these rough sculptures after watching a couple videos by a guy named J.S.Surette. You should definitely check him out. It really helps with complex forms, so you don't have to try and figure out where's my shadow falling. There's really no shame in using reference, like everybody does it. And if it creates a better end product, then why not put the extra effort into it? Now I'm covering the whole thing in a very muted magenta. I figure that human skin has red blood beneath it, so a humanoid alien might have the same thing going on. And I wipe it down to leave patches with a thin enough coating for the yellow to show through. When I was a teenager, there was this video floating around the internet called the Alien Interview. It was from some sort of talk show. It's this gray alien in a dark room, and you see a guy with a lab coat come in and start shining lights on him, and he's moving around like a puppet, obviously like a puppet, and they're playing it off like, oh, he's coughing, he's picked up some sort of disease that you can only get on Earth. So I don't know why, maybe it was just to pay an homage to how many hours I've spent watching and analyzing that video as a teenager. I just decided that I wanted to make something similar to that specific alien. But then as a painter and sculptor, you kind of know that a head that big will not be supported by a neck that small. So it really bothered me. I had to make the head bigger. So I took what I knew about the human anatomy in the neck specifically and just made it bigger and attached the alien head to that. So that's why you see such big honking neck muscles on this sculpture. And I tried to get the color the same too, but eventually halfway through painting this, I started taking it in my own direction. Instead of being so yellow, I made it more of a gray purple. Now I'm adding some redness to the cheeks. You see when people go out in the winter, their cheeks go red. That's because of all of the blood vessels that are underneath the skin there. So I figured that this alien would look more realistic if I show that it has some sort of blood underneath the skin. So back on the topic of J.S.Surette, this guy, he does mostly paleo art. He's got this book called
Dinotopia.
So he'll sculpt like a dinosaur in clay and give it a rough paint job and then put that under a light. He's got one video where he puts it in a kiddie pool with a bunch of mud and grass and sticks. I figure a neck that would have to support that big of a head would need to pump a lot of blood. So I decided to give the neck a really red color. Now again, I'm going to be painting over that with a more gray flesh tone. Yeah, it's a lot more eye-opening when you realize that I can actually use a reference for my painting and make it look better. I mean, if something doesn't exist, you just sculpt it. Okay, so here's where I kind of messed up a little too frequently. I didn't sculpt in the dark circles under the eyes. When you look at somebody's face, they have an area where the bone gives way to the eye socket, and that's where the bags are. Now, when I keep painting in the dark circles, it looks just off because there is no real eye socket. I mean, this was just a rough sculpture that I was using for lighting reference on a painting. So I just made 2 holes for eyes and stuffed some egg-shaped pieces of clay inside of it and called it a day. And you'll see that I tried maybe 3 or 4 times to get it right, but it just never ends up working. So I want to clarify that I was never one of those guys that was like,
We went to a conference about all the aliens, and there's the gray aliens, and there's the Nordics, and then there's the reptilians. Barack Obama's reptilian.
but I have read up on the material. And it's just funny to see people in public who actually believe in this. Like there was this woman at this Airbnb I was staying at over the summer of 2018, and she was deep into this. I refer to her as like, I think it was the goblin or the gremlin or something like that. I was always afraid that she was gonna poison like my milk or something crazy. And the landlady who was running the Airbnb, she lived upstairs and she had a cactus. So this woman would constantly just flood the cactus. So there'd be like an inch of water over top of the ground. And she goes and eats like all of her berries off the berry bush and all of the strawberries. And here's a messed up thing, is that she wanted to start this farm for like kids to be away from technology and stuff. She can't even support a cactus without flooding it. And there's a juxtaposition that, oh, human technology is bad, but alien technology is great. And I love how these people think that when aliens finally arrive, we're gonna be best buds with them, but we can't even get along with one another. I mean, let's just say that all of these aliens that people are seeing, like the Greys, the Reptilians, the Nordics, let's say they're actually real. Well, none of them have any teeth. So it's not like they're gonna enjoy the same foods that we enjoy. I mean, half of them can't even open their mouth big enough to put like a burger in. Like, are they gonna buy land in like Lower Sackville and move in next to you?
I hate these aliens with their lasers and their spaceships. These damn grabies.
Dad, you can't call them that. They're called Graybos, not Grabies.
I can't trust anyone who can see ultraviolet.
Like I have a hard time believing that they'd actually live among us, that they want to live among us. I mean, most of us don't want to live among us. Anyway, back to the painting. So by this point, I'm really just adding redundant layers onto it. The traps, shoulder blades, all of the neck muscles, I decided to give it a little bit more redness, and therefore I have to add the gray skin color over top. And I've given it 2 layers just to give it more of a natural kind of look. Like one layer has more of a pinkish hue, the other layer would be more of a yellow. Generally, if you do anything realistic, you want to make as much variety in the colors as possible. Otherwise, it just looks cartoony. And here's the finished product. So like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.